evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk, a program where we highlight issues concerning Nigeria's democracy and how we could move the country forward. Today was a very busy day. From morning, we had two conflicting reports and meeting notice from the PDP, where we had the Turaki-led faction of the party saying they will be having their NWC, that's the National Working Committee meeting. We also had the Abdurrahman-led faction, the Samuel Ayao faction, Wike faction, also calling us and telling journalists that they will be having meeting at the same venue here in Abuja. We're there and we actually got some reports which we'll bring to you tonight on the show. But tonight on the show, we'll be talking to two Nigerians who are journalists and has done a lot of work as far as publication is concerned, and also highlighting Nigeria's place around the world, especially in the UK and also in Nigeria. As a journalist tonight on the show, let's talk about Nigeria's democracy and actually assessing this democracy, looking at the things we've done and what we can do to do better, right? There's always room for improvement. Let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll get to bring you the report and a rundown of some of the trending political discussions we have tonight on the program. Talking about the drama today, I did two reports. Let's get to see the reports that we actually had today. Tear gas flying all around at the Wadata Plaza in Abuja. We saw the minister of the FCT coming with policemen. We also saw the governor of Oyo State, governor of Adamawa State, and a lot of other PDP stakeholders of the two conflicting factions trying to gain entry into that particular plaza. By the time I got there by 9 a.m., the Anyanwu faction were already inside the building and were there till about 10, 11, when the other faction also come and got access into the building. But let's get this report. After the report, we'll get back to talk about Nigeria's democracy, and let's just do an assessment. How far this far?
Tensions remained high throughout the day as the PDP national headquarters, Wadata Plaza, as security operatives struggled to manage the standoff between the two rival factions. Earlier in the day, the Anyanwu-led faction arrived first, took possession of key offices, and announced that it was preparing for its scheduled meetings. Hours later, the Turaki-led faction made its move. Members of the group gained access into the secretariat and announced that their National Working Committee meeting would commence immediately.
I want to call on President Trump. What is at stake is not just genocide against Nigerian Christians. He should come and save democracy in Nigeria. Democracy is under threat. I'm calling on all other developed nations, all advanced democracies, come and save Nigeria. Come and save democracy. Because I cannot understand how a serving minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be leading talks, armed talks, and then with the active connivance or support of the police to come and create mayhem here.
But the situation changed following a heated confrontation inside the building. Security operatives intervened and escorted members of the Turaki group out of the secretariat, insisting that the situation was becoming unsafe. The Anyanwu faction maintained that their mandate remains vital and valid, describing the Turaki factions as an unlawful attempt to disrupt the day's activity. Crowds of supporters from both sides remain outside, chanting and singing as police, DSS and civil defense officers tightened security to prevent clashes. After being escorted out, the Turaki-led camp announced that it would reschedule its meeting for tomorrow, insisting that it remained the legitimate leadership produced at the Ibadan convention. The Turaki camp vows to return tomorrow to assert its authority. Tensions heightened earlier this morning at Wadata Plaza as security operatives cordoned off major entrances to the PDP headquarters, following reports that rival factions were mobilizing supporters for parallel meetings. Arriving at the venue early, Samuel Anyanwu said his group remains the authentic leadership of the party and no amount of intimidation or internal sabotage will stop them from carrying out their constitutional responsibilities, adding that the PDP must be rescued from impunity and return to its founding values.
Well, this is laughable because first of all, there's no convention. No convention. What makes a convention? What? As the national secretary of the party in our constitution, it's very clear. 36E, for every convention, the national secretary will state the affairs of the party. That's a convention. 2, every communication from the convention or negativity is communicated to the members of the party by my office. 3, there should be a 21 days communication to INEC that I want to hold a convention. And I saw such letter conference to INEC. And of course, that's why.
Shortly after his arrival, members of the Anyanwu-led faction moved into key offices within the secretariat, insisting that the party structure is firmly under their control based on recent internal discussions and court interpretations. On the other hand, the Turaki-led group dismissed the move as unlawful occupation, arguing that the Ibadan Convention produced a legitimate leadership that must not be undermined. They accused the opposing faction of working with external influences to destabilize the party. Supporters from both sides gathered around the secretariat in large numbers, expressing fears that widening divisions could further weaken the PDP ahead of major political engagement. Security operatives maintained a heavy presence to prevent clashes, even as both factions insist that they will forge ahead with their planned meetings.
All right, welcome back. So now let's get to the discussion for tonight. Tonight we're looking at Nigeria's democracy and assessments of the current realities. Joining us to help make sense of the discussion tonight, we have Kede Ahe, who is the chairman of the Nigerian magazine, who's joining us live in Abuja studios. Let's talk about democracy, and as from his point as a publisher, the work is done over the years, more than 15 years with Nigerian magazine all over the world, trying to put Nigeria's image. How does it feel at this point that we are where we are? Maybe we've done well. It's an assessment he's going to be helping us to make tonight on the program. A very good evening to you and welcome, Kede.
Well, thank you for having me, or for having us, and good evening to your viewers.
All right, thank you so much. Also joining us, we have the editor of Nigerian magazine, Esosa Ahe, who's also joining us. And also has done a lot of work around publishing, writing, editing, and putting Nigeria on the global stage. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you, Bonk.
Right,
Glad to be here with you.
Thank you. So we're looking at, Mr. Kede, I'll start with you. We're looking at Nigeria's democracy. For you, as a Nigerian, even though you may not be in Nigeria all of the time, but I know you follow conversations around Nigeria a lot and you're really informed about what, you are interested, that's the word, about what happens back home. When you look at our democracy, we've now done more than 60 years. How do you feel that this is where we are at this time?
Well, I think for context, I have to explain to your viewers quickly or briefly about Nigerian democracy. It didn't start today, actually. It started possibly in the 50s, where you had parties like NCNC, action group that became the political dominant parties in the 50s leading up to the 60s when we had independence. And so what's happening today is not different from what happened in the 60s that actually led to serious crisis. I'm sure those viewers who are old enough will have heard of Operation Wettier, which was almost like the Wild Wild West. It really went out of hand and there was crisis, and obviously after that, the whole thing collapsed. And then fast forward to 79 when, of course, there was military rule. They handed over back in 1979, and that lasted for another 4 years. By 83, the military came back, and it became a very prolonged thing. And then 1999 was when this current democratic system also came into place. So we've had 26 years of unbroken civil rule. And so that's the background to it. But it is almost like different settings, same challenges. And so I don't really think, I watched the Show of Shame today, I would call it a show of shame, where people were being tear gassed. You have different factions battling to have control. So that's not a positive sign for anybody to be looking at. But having said that, I think cooler heads will prevail. The systemic breakdown really is a breakdown of, I call it mindset affliction actually. Hopefully will be something that we'll look at in the course of this program today. But I would say what I saw today at the PDP headquarters was shameful, and it should be condemned by every Democrat. Democracy in Nigeria should not be about do or die, as Obasanjo, who introduced that phrase, unfortunately, and that's what we're seeing today.
All right, so Madam Esosa, I'll come to you as a publisher who's done a lot of work, and you get a lot of stories around Nigeria. How does it feel when you get these stories and you see that this is, you still have challenges with the system?
As Kede said, 26 years of democracy. The thing we need to ask ourselves is, do we know what democracy is? Because democracy is a system of government by the whole population. What we saw today is a factional system that has been taken over by a few people. They are saying they are leaders, but are they exemplifying what leadership is all about? And also exemplifying the fact that Nigeria's democracy for 26 years, should we be seeing what we saw today? And the people who are the factional leaders, have they actually taken the whole of the population into consideration? Because the thing is, this is just one party out of so many parties. If one party, there's a factional division, and people are being tear gassed, people are afraid. What about the other parties? What does that leave Nigeria? We as a people now need to be thinking in terms of what is democracy? What has it done for us? What do we want democracy to do for us? Why in 2025 people are fighting over nothing? We don't know who the leaders are. Where is PDP? What is PDP's agenda? What are the agendas of the different political parties in Nigeria? Nigeria is not where it ought to be. Should we be fighting? Should something like this that happened today, should it happen? That is the question we need to be asking ourselves.
All right, so I'll stay with you before I go to Kede. There's this, one of the things about democracy is mass participation, where people get to choose their leaders, and people say, oh, if we run democracy, anybody in Nigeria can become anything without having to know anybody. In these 26 years of unbroken democracy since 1999, do you think that system, a Nigerian system of democracy, allows anybody from anywhere to aspire to be anything?
No, it doesn't. You have to have power, you have to have money, and you have to have the influence and the connections. Once you have this, you are in the lead. And it does not make you a representative of the people. We need to be living egotistical democracy or systems and actually looking at what do we need as a nation? What do we need as a people? Is this thing working for us? And if it's not working for us, why are we doing what we are doing? And why are people fighting? If a party has constituted itself, should members of that party be fighting over leadership or over ownership? Because the party is meant to be for the people. But the people didn't talk. The people were tear gassed. The people's views were not listened to, not heard, because of the egotistical nature of what has happened. It needs to stop.
All right, so I'll get to Kede now. One of the things about Nigeria's democracy is that we still see a lot of ethnic divides. When, for instance, election becomes, people say elections becomes a thermometer which we gauge our democracy is working or not. And in Nigeria's election, we still see a lot of talks about divide. Where is the presidential candidate from? Which zone of the country? Is it from the north, from the south? How does it come to you that this is the questions we ask most times are not even about competence when they put forward candidates? Is it a good thing for our democracy?
Nigerian democracy is very unusual. I say this because zoning, which is really not constitutional, and I'm wearing the hat of a lawyer now, it's not constitutional, but has been something that was cleverly put into the system in 1979. So the North presents a candidate, the South would present. But that, almost like a gentleman's agreement, was kind of jettisoned when Goodluck Jonathan became president. Allegedly, I say, was meant to do one term. And so some people in the North felt they've been shortchanged. So there's a lot of dynamics at play. But the kind of politics that we engage in Nigeria today is transactional. It's more of a transactional politics. And like I also said, the people don't really have a say. And it's when you extend it forward, it affects every aspect of our society. So litigation, election litigation, takes a lot of time. There's been reforms, but at the end of the day, I just think we need to keep pushing, put pressure on the actors, because it's not really about the system. I always tell people this. A lot of people are saying, let's go back to the parliamentary system.
Or maybe 6-year term.
The 6-year term, single term. My response to that is based on being uninformed. The problem is not the system. The problem is more of the political actors, because we've tried every system on surface of earth. Same problem. We had dictatorship. We had Westminster style of politics. We now have presidential. We've had military at some point with some civilians. Some call it diarchy or whatever name they're giving it. So we've tried every system that has always posed challenges. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, we need to make it work. We cannot be pretending and coming up with all sorts of excuses. Now, if you try another system, it's the same people. We're Nigerians. So it is not the system. It is the
problem. Is it a people's problem?
Of course it is. It's not beyond leadership. We're looking at other people who are not in leadership position. So you have factions in every party. And by the way, the APC has challenges in certain states. So it may not be at the federal level. And so the question you should ask yourself is, why would somebody leave a party and join another party from the PDP that has been in power, or you've been in power as a governor for maybe 25 years, you wake up one day and you say, I'm going to join another party. And by the way, also, somebody like Oshomole has actually said, when you join the APC, your sins are forgiven. So what is it about those who are jumping from party to party? It does not inspire confidence in the system. And that's where we face, because people are watching.
Right, so no confidence in Nigeria's democracy.
Well, no, I'm not saying there's no confidence. I think that would be a sweeping statement. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if you act in a certain way, it does not give confidence to the electorate to have belief in politicians. Politics is toxic right now in Nigeria. We cannot pretend about this. Because what is the percentage of people who go out to vote? I can tell you that less than 30%, in some cases 20%, decides who becomes a governor. So obviously something has to be done about it. We're evolving, but how long can we keep pretending and using that as an excuse? So it's come to a head now where the people's voice must reflect the type of leaders that are put forward.
All right, thank you so much. I'd just like to take a cue for my next question from what Kedi has actually said. We just did an election in Anambra State, and we saw, grossly better than the last election, because like he mentioned, the percentage of people that came out to vote, the last Anambra State election, out of about 2.2 million registered voters at the time, had the governor won with less than 100,000 votes. So a lot of people didn't actually, less than 10%. But this particular one, it was a bit better. Even the APC got 99,000 and all of that. But let's talk about the place that people are actually given money to participate or incentive, because on election day in Nigeria, you see pictures of young people playing football, people that are of voting age, people are largely not concerned. Is this troubling for our democracy?
Definitely. There's voter apathy. There are people who the election favors. So you will find that they are much more committed to the voting process than largely a large part of the population who the outcome of democracy does not make a difference to them. And because it doesn't make any difference to them, yes, they are apathetic to the voting process. And what they see in it is that even if we vote, will my vote count? Is it going to come out the way I want it? And also, we have put forward cases, our concerns. Nobody's listening to it. And another thing we're looking at is that there are major parts of the population. They are meant to be like majority parts of the population. Their votes don't count. They are not able to participate. They are not able to be part of the election process because they don't have confidence in the outcome of election or even the process. What they see in it is that I don't have the money, I don't have the power, I don't have the influence, I don't have the backing. Why bother? And that's why you are seeing people playing football, when they are meant to actually be part and parcel of the electoral process. We need to now engage, we need to involve the youth, women, and the underrepresented groups across Nigeria. Nigeria cannot just be for a few because they have the power, they have the money. The actors, as Kede say, the actors should be everyone. We, the people, should be the ones actually deciding the outcome of elections. And we, the people, should actually decide on where we want Nigeria to go. And it's not going that way. It needs to be addressed.
Right, so I'll stay with you before I go to Kelly. The question about money in politics. A lot of persons also argue that even in other climes that you can't do politics without money because you need to go for campaigns and it requires money. Do you think the electoral system is so monetized that it makes it is it an elite capture or a class capture for those who have that money class are the ones who've captured it? How do you look at it?
I think we, the people, I will go back to we, the people, the majority people, we take a lot for granted. We have left it to those who are already of the political class. And I say, oh, this is not for me. Oh, because I don't have money. Oh, because I don't have a political party, or I don't have influence, or I don't have support. But numbers matter and it counts. And we are not using the numbers we have to actually determine the way forward in elections. I think there needs to be more involvement from people. Yes, I know before you are presented as the representative of any party, you need to put money.
Even buying forms. The APC sold their presidential form for 100 million.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is that we have the benefits of technology now. Monies can be raised in different ways. President Trump, because of what he's heard, is now taking steps to tell Nigeria, you cannot continue what you are doing. So what is stopping our tech-savvy youths or other underrepresented groups to be part of the electoral process, to raise money? You don't have to be a member of one of the very moneyed class or whatever to be politically minded and for your voice to be heard. We need to be changing that in Nigeria. Obama would never have become president of America if he did not take steps to follow his conviction. What is our conviction? Do we really want the political class who have been ruling for the past 26 years to continue doing the same thing? That is a question that people need to answer.
Right, thank you so much, Isosa. KD, now, when you move around the streets of Abuja, do you see progress? Do you see, maybe from 1999, do you see developments? That's one. But I'd like to ask you about our party systems. We have 19 parties now. A lot were deregistered by INEC. INEC said any party that couldn't win any position in some, they gave them some timeline to be deregistered. And now we have a lot of, maybe 121 who will also want to be registered as political parties, but 19 political parties we have now in Nigeria. Looking at all of this, and sometimes I wonder, the other political parties, what are they doing? How are they passing their messages? They also talked about, let's have two-party system, let's have 5 parties, let's have 3 parties that could be so solid to strongly contend with each other. That's one. And there's also talks about our presidency, the term. Instead of having 4 years, let's do 6 years single term. So at the end of the day, we know that nobody's coming back and all of that. Let's look at all of this. First, moving around, walking around Abuja, moving about Abuja. Do you see development in the last 26 years? Our party system, do you think we should have 1 or 2? Then I also asked the presidency term. What do you think?
Okay, interesting. Let me take Abuja, the first question you posed. It's of a mixed bag because I know that in 2001, I was here in Abuja with Esosa, and so we know the trajectory in terms of development. But I would say that Abuja is not about the city center and the beautiful highways. It's a big disappointment. Terrible field, I have to say. One has to be honest. I mean, if you go to Gwarimpa, it's complete disgrace in terms of the waste that's everywhere, stinking, even some part of Wuse. Yeah, so that, to my mind, a city, a federal capital territory, the capital of Nigeria, ought not to be in that state. So it's not about the beautiful roads. That's fine. I've seen some works that have been done, expanded and everything, and buildings all over the place. But in terms of the environmental impact of waste, is a complete disgrace. And you can't, if that were to be in, so take example Birmingham in England. When they were on strike, the waste was not collected for a couple of months. People complained. It was in the news and everything. So for me, what I've seen in terms of the environmental impact of litter everywhere is bad. And Abuja that I knew has also now deteriorated to the extent that the level of lawlessness in terms of driving is disgraceful. Nobody waits on the traffic light. When I observed when we were coming down here to your studio, the driver, in fairness to him, was waiting for the red light to turn green, and people were overtaking somewhere horning. So that's the mindset affliction I'm talking about. So I would say it's a mixed bag, because I've seen some roads that were abandoned for the past 8 years, and then this current minister has done good works in infrastructure, so I'll give him that credit. But fixing the roads is not all that makes a capital tick. If you cannot drive properly, you cannot evacuate your waste, then that is what some foreigners will see. So it's not everybody that goes to Transcorp or goes to Asokoro or go to Maitama or even Jabi. What about the inner roads? Even within the city center, there are some roads. I can actually give you an example. We were in Maitama going somewhere behind, just before the dunes or something, and that side road was not tarred. And I'm like, yeah, this road has been like this for God knows how long. So that's my assessment of it in terms that a lot of work needs to be done. People are paying their council taxes. So you may not hold the minister responsible, but what about the council?
Local council.
Local council chair. What are they doing? Who's holding them accountable? So that's how I see it. But in terms of democracy, the second question.
Should we do? It was about party system. Should
the
we
party system.
The party system. Then the
even if you have one party in Nigeria, that one party will have 25 factions. Like I've said, it is not. We are not serious. I'll be brutally honest. We are not serious. We are involved and engaged in transactional politics. It's very funny that Nigeria is one of the few countries, if not possibly the only country, where somebody can walk off the street, no experience, nothing. He gets into politics, is building 10, 20 houses and driving all sorts of SUVs because it's a corrupt enterprise as it is now. People see politics as a means to make money. And that's what is happening. The evidence is evidence-based. Let's not pretend. There's hardly anyone that has entered politics at a higher level that could have achieved the financial success they had if they were running a personal business. So for me, it's transactional politics. And when you engage in transactional politics, you will never make meaningful progress. You can pretend, but everyone is looking at you. And so that's how I see it, in the sense that people have gone in because they want to make money. It's not about service. They're not providing service. If you're providing service, how would you, just recently, people have been talking about politics. We are political people as Nigerians. A soldier, a brigadier general, was abducted by terrorists and murdered. And where's the outrage? Where's the outrage? Would a brigadier general in America or even Rwanda, an African country, be so callously murdered people who are protecting us? And why wasn't he rescued? He called for help, for backup. How did the terrorists know where he was? Here is why I'm linking it to politics. In a civilized society, if it's America, the Congress will be having a hearing If it's the UK, the parliamentary system that they have in charge of maybe a committee, definitely you will see somebody on TV asking how a Nigerian general can be abducted and killed by terrorists. It's only newspapers that are carrying it. Where are the where's the National Assembly? Where are the senators? That's a human being that's been killed at the highest level. So these are the things that you need to understand of the challenges we face, and I'm happy programs like this give us the opportunity to speak on it. So I
talked about Nigerian political parties. So should we reduce the number of parties, then the term for presidency?
Again, a lot of people don't understand this. To change a system, especially with Nigeria, you will require serious politicking amongst the parties. If it's a constitutional requirement, it has to go through changes. Now, how do you convince the 36 states to have 2/3? We've tried this actually before in the past, where a constitutional amendment was going to be made. And can I shock you, if you don't know already, some states' House of Assemblies under the control of people are called emperors. The governors are emperors. They are not accountable to anybody. These governors made the rubber stamp state assembly to vote against their own autonomy, financial autonomy. Some states voted against it. So how are you going to get the political system to be 2 or 3 parties? The Constitution allows you to say, Ubong wants to register a party in one room. You can do it. But do you follow the regulations, the requirements to even file? Even the major parties, they don't even file their returns. They don't follow the rules. So you have to understand the challenges we face. It's not something you can resolve. But if we keep talking about it, hopefully, younger people will come into politics. I believe that, like Esusa said, there are people who are professionals who are doing very well, young men and women. You see, IAGA Africa did a survey recently and found out that young people are interested in politics. But how do you, as a young man, to go and bring 20, 30 million to buy a form? Why should the form even be sold? If you are dead serious, allow the best to compete, and the winner is selected or elected to go and represent the party. So we need serious-minded people in Nigerian politics.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, thank you so much. Madam Sosa, let me get to you now. Let's talk about women involvement in Nigerian politics and in our democracy generally. We've seen more women these days, although they still complain about marginalization. But the House of Assembly and the Senate were actually considering making it mandatory that every state must have permanent slots for women. So instead of just saying, let's go, we have slots that are mainly provided for women. Do you think that it would be good for our democracy to maybe keep some slots and say, okay, for every election cycle, we must have at least, if the governor is male, the deputy governor must be female. If we have 3 senators, 1 must be female. Should we have that mandatory kind of placing for women to be involved in politics?
I don't think we should do that, because if we do that, it means we are not ready to embrace women who make up over 50% of the population. Democracy should be representative. It's not representative at the moment. If our democracy is seen the way it is, and from what has actually happened, women are more active in politics than even men. However, they are not in positions of leadership. They are not given they are not empowered to take the leadership that they want. Our democracy, after so long, should be that whoever is interested, whoever has the capacity, the capability to say, I am going to serve locally, statewide, or nationally, should be given the ticket and the support to do so. We are not giving that. What is happening is that people who don't have the capability are being drawn into politics. And when they do, it's what you put in you are going to get. Rubbish in and rubbish out. And that is what we are getting at the moment. Yes, politics is transactional. It's who has the money, who has the voice, who has the push that will be in power. As we speak, women are still a minority. As we speak, the youths are still a minority. Democracy must actually be representative, and it should start from our local areas.
Right, so let me just add to that. There's a talk about poverty being a multiplier effect as to leading us into bad leadership. Do you think that if the economic condition in Nigeria was better, maybe we'll have better representatives in terms of the quality of people that come out to serve the nation?
Economically, is the same thing as the political arena. The leadership we have are not deep thinkers. What they are there for is, I am in the lead, follow me. If you follow me, I will give you money. If you follow me, I will give you some office, or I will give you appointments. Economically, we are sitting on a gold mine as a nation, but we're looking for brass instead of actually harvesting or deepening the gold mine we have. Every aspect of our economic and political life, we have not actually harnessed or unleashed the best that Nigeria can have. And until we have good leadership, we will continue to struggle. We will continue to bring out leaders who are there for just themselves, for their stomach infrastructure, and not for the benefit of the whole population. We need to stop that. We need to look at ourselves as partakers of our democracy, as people who want to rule, who want to serve, as good stewards for what we have as a nation. We have not done that. All we are doing is, this person is the leader, is my leader, I must follow. Even if that leader does not have what it takes to be in leadership.
Right. So Kate, let me get to you now as we try to wind down with the conversation. Let's talk about the work you do two ways. Is there hope for Nigeria's democracy? That's my last question to you. Then I'd like to talk about the work you've done as a publisher with Nigerian Magazine for so many years. And now it's impacted Nigeria. You could just give us a preview. Is there hope for Nigeria?
Okay, of course there is hope. I'm not going to come here and say there is no hope. There is hope. And I think what gives me that confidence to say there is hope is that Nigeria has a very youthful population who are very savvy, well-educated, and are doing amazing things globally in different sectors. And so that itself gives hope, because they are no longer in my generation where things were different. These are much more savvy young men and women and children also who have grown up in the diaspora, who are very eager to come home and help. And unfortunately, the Super Eagles lost, but having said that, majority of the players are Nigerian, their parents are Nigerians, and they ply their trade, and they ply their trade outside Nigeria. So that is hopeful. And you see a lot of people also coming home to different sectors to do stuff. So I am very hopeful and confident that by God's grace, that this is the shift in mindset that will help Nigeria politically in terms of politics, because the way they've been successful in entertainment, you name it, whatever they've done, that can also now translate into good governance. And so, yes, there is hope. For me, I believe it gets to a point where everyone will sit, the old, the young, and those upcoming, to say, listen, we want a good Nigeria for ourselves. Let's sit down and talk and have a proper conversation. And I think we're getting to that stage. And about the work we do, of course, there's not enough time for me to talk about the work we do. But Nigeria Magazine has been around since 2010, so we've done 15 years. And as a matter of fact, we do have an exhibition going on at Lambert Archives in London. It was to celebrate 3 events in one: Black History Month, Nigeria at 65, and Nigeria Magazine at 15. It was a month-long celebration, but by popular demand, it was extended till next week, November. So we've done almost 7 weeks of actively promoting Nigeria within that space. But we've promoted Nigeria positively in the past 15 years. Every blessed day we've done that, by the articles that we write, by seminars that we hold, by even the award. Like we every year we do award for IWD, that's International Women's Day Celebration Award that Nigeria Magazine will do. And it's amazing the number of people, that women especially, that have been nominated and have received this award. And most recently, actually, we, in celebration of our 15th anniversary, we did a compile. I compiled the book, and compiled this book, Nigeria, the Heart of Africa's Future. And it was a book that I would say has got a compilation of over 50 writers, authors from all sectors of society.
So you say leadership and accountability.
Yeah. You know, so that's in a nutshell. Like I said, if I were to sit here, it would take all day. But Nigeria Magazine has come a long way and has portrayed Nigeria in a positive.
Very hopeful on Nigeria.
Yeah, I think ours is beyond hope. Actually, we've. Everyone is coming in about this is what we've done for 15 years, and I'm sure the editor will talk more about.
Right. So Madam Esosa, the editor, who they're already telling me we're out of time. So, but you could do this in 1 minute. How does it feel getting all of these things and still working with people in? Even when you are aware, I know you work with a lot of people in Nigeria. How does it feel still reaching out to people like that? I think
for 15 years, when we started 15 years ago, Nigeria was not popular. It wasn't something to be so proud of, but we stuck to our guns to say we are Nigerians. We should be the authors of our story, and we should be narrating a good narrative. We should be driving it rather than being driven. And that is what we have done. And what is happening now is that people are proud to be Nigerians, to be involved with Nigeria affairs. And apart from the book, we did a commemorative magazine issue on Nigeria. And Nigerians who are proud across the world, they were proud to contribute to what being a vibrant Nigeria is. The spirit of Nigeria is Nigeria not they carry last. And to that, I am very hopeful. Democracy-wise, governance-wise, economic-wise, we are a vibrant people, and we always strive for the best.
Thank you so much. We've had a wonderful conversation tonight, looking at Nigeria's democracy and assessments of the current realities. And yes, we've looked at it with Kede here and also Esosa here. And they've told us that publishers of Nigerian Magazine all around the world promoting Nigeria's beauty and telling people there's still hope in Nigeria. And looking at all of, like Katie mentioned, that Nigerians are doing exceptionally well in many other fields, and that's a positive sign that going into the future will bring that ray of hope into the country and actually do better. And as I mentioned, that yes, we've made progress. So it's not like Nigeria has not done. We've made progress, but there's still room to actually do a lot better. My name is Ubong Usora, and it's been a wonderful time hosting the show tonight and talking about Nigeria and hoping that Nigeria's democracy gets to that place where we'll all one day say we've actually done very, very well. And that's the size of our show for tonight. Bye for now.